Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a different video from usual. Unlike my others, it's not going to be a documentary, but it's just pretty much going to be straight from the source, straight from the news, and giving my thoughts on this whole thing. There's really not going to be any editing on this, just pretty much me babbling and giving my thoughts on this whole thing. I might make a video on the crime one day maybe, but for now, I'm just going to give my thoughts on this. It also might be a few days late, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and give my thoughts on it. So, SlenderMan stabber Morgan Geyser escapes group home, cuts off ankle monitor 11 years after horrifying attack. And when I read the title, I was kind of thinking, did I read that correctly? Did that really happen? So, for anyone who doesn't know, this girl, along with another one, back in, I think it was 2015, 2014, they went and tried to go and kill one of their friends to go and please SlenderMan. What they pretty much did was that they took one of their friends, they took her to this part of the woods. They pretty much told her that, hey, we want you to go and see something. It's over here. And then they proceeded to go and try to stab her to death so they can go and meet SlenderMan, a fictional character. And for anyone who doesn't know SlenderMan, he's pretty much this guy from creepypasta, this character from creepypasta. He's he if I remember correctly, he goes and kidnaps children. And he was often in these edited photos where he would be in the background of playgrounds and schools and other things like that. And I don't know too much about him. I only read a tiny bit about him. I did read a few creepypastas here and there. It was pretty much this site where people would go and write creepy stories. Some of them would be pretty much just based off a cartoon or show. Kind of like Sonic EXE. Or Ben Drowned from Majora's Mask. But then others would be completely original, like SlenderMan or Jack the Killer, or not Jack the Killer, Jeff the Killer, and things like that. So I do know a little bit about them, but I didn't get too much into them, but they were okay. They could be a little cliche at times. Often people will be like, oh, hyper-realistic blood! That would be in a lot of them, and that got really annoying at times, but just because something had blood in it doesn't make it scary. But, whatever. So, let's go ahead and see what the story is. One of the SlenderMan stabbers, who viciously ambushed and hacked a classmate when she was 12 years old in an effort to please a made-up internet boogeyman, has vanished and cops are hunting her. Morgan Geyser, 23, cut off her ankle monitor and escaped from the group home where she was living, and she's on the run, according to cops, in Madison, Wisconsin. Her whereabouts are unknown as of Sunday morning, the police said. Geyser, along with her friend, Anisha Weiner, or Weiner, let's hope, that would be a better name, lured a fellow 6th-grader girl in the Waukesha, Wisconsin, I probably said that wrong, park in 2014 and stabbed her 19 times. The attack was an effort to impress SlenderMan, a supernatural character that rose to rival prominence on internet forums and was later the subject of a 2018 horror movie. Miraculously, the victim survived in a horrifying assault, crawling her way to safety when she was found by a passing bicyclist. Geyser, as a 15-year-old, pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree murder in a deal that would see her be put in a mental institution instead of serving jail time. She spent 7 years in the Winnebago Mental Health Institute before a judge ordered her release in January. How's that going? In August, a group faculty in Sun Prairie decided against admitting her due to a wave of negative publicity. However, police confirmed to WMTV that Geyser was staying at a group home in Madison. She was last seen around 8 o'clock p.m. Saturday with an adult acquaintance, the cop said. We just heard the news that Morgan has walked away from the group home and that she was housed at, Geyser's attorney Tony Cotton said in a video. Obviously, it's just her best interest to turn herself in immediately and not continue with this course of action, Cotton said. We don't know any of the facts about what happened who might have assisted her, but certainly if there is someone who might have assisted her, that person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, he continued. And again, he told her to turn herself in. If anybody has contact with Morgan, hears from her, or if Morgan happens to see this, turn yourself in, Cotton said. Do not continue to remain on the law like this. It's not your best interest to handle this matter that way, he pleaded. So, when I first saw the story, I really couldn't believe it. I just couldn't think, how? How did this girl get away? I'm pretty sure I already knew that she wasn't in jail, but in some kind of institute, but I still couldn't think, how? How did that happen? And I looked at some of the comments here and just couldn't help but agree with them. The court system, especially the judges and parole boards, are the cause of a majority of violent crime because repeat offenders are usually let go. Make them feel the pain. Yes, I completely agree. Shouldn't be in a group home. Shouldn't be sharing air with this. Should have been properly dealt with years ago, but wasn't. Now this, because of the justice system we have. This young woman is probably what used to be called criminally insane. What does she do while on the run could determine what her fate is when she's recaptured? If it hurts her, prison is the answer. Otherwise, more restrictive mental detention. Had a similar incident locally, a young man who killed a grade school kid as an 8th grader. A number of years later, a psychologist allowed him to move to a halfway house where he promptly strangled another resident to death. He's back in high security now, which would have never happened if he was in a place where he belonged. But when I read this, yeah, it made me really wonder all that. Just how she could have gotten out. Because I know it's not a prison, there's not top security or anything like that, but wasn't there someone watching her? A guard? A family member or someone who knows her who would tell the truth? Anyone? How could she have gotten out? And to that matter, how did it get cut off? I thought these things were supposed to be hard to cut out, but apparently not. Apparently you just probably go and grab some scissors or some tweezers and cut it off, I guess. I don't see how she really could have cut it off that easy. Now, she wasn't on the run that long. About 1 or 2 days later, they did catch her. SlenderMan stabber Morgan Geyser told cops to just Google her when she was busted for escaping group home. Escaped SlenderMan stabber Morgan Geyser refused to give her name when she was nabbed by cops after allegedly cutting off her ankle bracelet and fleeing her group home, telling them to just Google her because she has done something really bad, according to a report. So she was picked up in Bozeman, Illinois, more than 150 miles away from their Wisconsin group home, with a 40-year-old female acquaintance who agreed to run away because she didn't want to be alone. The adult acquaintance was sleeping on a sidewalk for her best friend Geyser when they were found Sunday afternoon, more than a day after the notorious stabber cut off her ankle bracelet and bolted from the home she had been living since the release at the psychotic fatality in March. The acquaintance claimed the two had taken a bus to Chicago before walking 20 miles south to Posen, where they were forced to stop walking when Geyser injured her foot. She told police Geyser would be sent to the Winnebago Mental Health Institute following her extradition hearing. They were arrested around 1:00 p.m. Sunday after officers responded to a report of two people loitering behind the truck stop and then found the two people sleeping on the sidewalk. Geyser instantly gave police a false name and told them she didn't want to tell the cops who she was because she had done something bad, according to CBS News. She told officers just to Google her, whatever that really means, to find out who she was. Okay, I thought by Googling she meant where she was, not who she was. Police in Madison were not aware that Geyser had left the group home until nearly 12 hours after her escape. On Saturday night, an alert Geyser that getting tongue-tied. An alert that Geyser's ankle had manufactured was received by the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. About 2 hours later, they contacted the group home and were told that she removed the monitor and wasn't in the home. 2 hours? They didn't know she was there? Geyser was just 12 years old in 2014 when her friend and Anissa Weiser tortured fellow classmates Peyton Lufer in the woods near their home in suburban Milwaukee. The pair claimed they stabbed the girl 19 times in an attempt to please SlenderMan, a fictional internet boogeyman, blah blah blah. Carried out the stabbing while Geyser carried out the stabbing while Weiser egged on, according to prosecutors. They told investigators they wanted to see SlenderMan servants who feared that he would harm their families if they didn't carry out the attack. They planned to walk to SlenderMan's home in northern Wisconsin after the attack. Lufer was able to crawl to a nearby cycle route where she was spotted by a passerby and ultimately rescued. Thank God. Geyser and Weiser were arrested shortly after walking on I-94. In 2017, Geyser pleaded guilty to being a party to attempted first-degree attempted homicide, but claims she wasn't responsible because she was mentally insane. A judge committed her to 40 years in psychiatric hospital by a judge in 2018, while Weiser pleaded guilty to being partly to attempted second-degree God, keep getting tongue-tied. See, this is why editing is good. Intentional homicide with a dangerous weapon, and was committed to a 25 degrees in a mental ward. Weiser was granted release in 2021 and after agreeing to live with her father, still wearing a GPS monitor. The Posen and Madison Police Departments did not respond to requests for comment. So, a lot of people have been asking, ever since this happened, was, why were these girls really even at this kind of place? At their homes, or at some kind of low-level institutes? Shouldn't they have been in prison, or at the very least, a more high-end institute? Because what they did was, they tried to kill a girl. They stabbed this girl 19 times to go and please this fictional character. And you could probably argue, yes, they definitely are insane, but are they insane in the way that they don't have really control? that they could have chose not to do this, but they still did. And they at least one of them, I think, seems to have a regret about what she did. I think it was Wisner. I think she regretted what she did, but not Geyser. So it's just kind of crazy to go and see a story like this. How easy someone like this can go and get out. And I just can't think, but how that girl, had she, how she had to go and feel about this. How she had to go and feel that her attempted murderer was out on the run and could have potentially come after her. If that was me, I would be scared. I don't think I could even sleep if my killer was out there. Because she could come back at any time and try again. So it just goes back to the question whether these girls should have they really been let out. We've seen many times lately where some person was in prison or some kind of institute and they got out and they did another crime. Just days ago, there was this one guy who was in jail, I think, who's been arrested several times, and then he got out and he lit a girl on fire in Chicago. And that would have never happened if he stayed in jail. But some judge was like, oh, well, I guess they're okay now. And then let him out. And, I don't think Geyser was going to do anything bad. I think she was just stupid and just wanted to go and get out and walk around and probably be free, never go back again, but probably never commit crimes again. At least that's what I think was going to happen, but still, you never know. When it comes to people like this, there's a reason these places exist and why you want them to stay there. And so I kind of wonder what's going to happen now. Will people want to go and say, no, she needs to be in jail and try to put her there or put into a bigger institute? And is it things like this and that girl getting caught on fire that's going to make people go and look that's saying, you can't go and release these people? This isn't like some kind of carjacking or just, I don't know, just some low-level crime of someone going and stealing from a Walmart. This isn't anything like that. These are people who want to go and hurt other people. And you can't always go and take them lightly. Yes, there are people out there who make bad decisions and they do regret it in the end and they want to go and redeem themselves, but there are others out there who they enjoy pain. And while I'm not really sure Geyser is like that, there are many more. And when they keep getting out, it's stuff like this that keeps happening. And stuff like this could just be prevented if she was just where she and other people belong. So, yeah, I just want to go and give my thoughts on this story. Like I said, there's not going to be much editing on here other than probably a few parts where I messed up on that I'll take out and little other things like that. And maybe one day I'll make a full video on the SlenderMan story, give my full thoughts on that. But other than that, I've pretty much gone and given my thoughts on the story. Maybe in the future I'll make more videos like this where it's just me talking from a news site and giving my whole thoughts on what happened. Maybe from some crazy person who escaped or just from any kind of murder or kidnapping that just happened in the news. I'll give my thoughts on that. Maybe I'll do more videos like that in the future. Because it could be interesting. It doesn't involve as much editing because those do take time. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think people like Morgan? Do you think she belongs in jail? Do you think she belongs in a bigger institute, or do you think that she's not as crazy as people might think, and that she should be home, but just kind of had to have an eye kept on her, but at least be allowed at home? What are your thoughts on all that? But until then, hope you have a great day, and I hope you take care.